Hi there, I'm James Kelly. Welcome to the Scott Goes Pop channel on YouTube. And it's the 18th of December, almost Christmas. And it's a few days since the general election, so we've had a few days to digest the SNP's amazing landslide victory. And in this video I'm going to talk about the 6 best SNP results by individual constituency. I mean, there's lots of different ways of measuring this. You could look at highest vote share, highest majority, the biggest swings since 2017. But another way of looking at it is to compare the results to 2015, which was the SNP's high watermark when they got 50% of the vote nationally. And believe it or not, there are, by my reckoning, 10 constituencies, 10 out of the 59, where last week the SNP outperformed their share of the vote from 2015. So these are the 6 best results as compared to 2015.
So here's that all-important chart rundown, Scott Goes Pop Pickers. In at number 6, it's Callum Care in Berwickshire, Roxburgh and Selkirk. Now this is a remarkable result because of course the SNP didn't actually win the constituency in this election. The Conservatives held on with a bit to spare. And yet the SNP's vote share of 38.8% is 2.2% higher than it was in 2015 when they actually won the seat. This was a Liberal Democrat seat for many years, until 2015 when it very suddenly became an SNP Conservative battleground seat. But the Lib Dems did retain a relatively strong residual vote in 2015. So what seems to have happened since then is that the Liberal Democrat vote has even further collapsed, and in 2019 obviously some of that ex-Lib Dem vote must have gone to the SNP, but most of it stayed with the Conservatives, and that explains why it's a Conservative seat. Nevertheless, a phenomenal performance by Callum Care, almost 40% of the vote for the SNP in what you'd think would be relatively hostile territory, right on the border with England. Straight in at number 5, it's Deirdre Brock in Edinburgh North and Leith. And no prizes for guessing what's happened here because Edinburgh North and Leith is the most pro-European constituency in Scotland. In the 2016 referendum it voted Remain by almost a 4-1 margin, so clearly what's happened here is that pro-Remain voters have swung behind their pro-Remain MP. On paper there was an outside chance of the Conservatives gaining this seat because they didn't start from that far back, so that may possibly have encouraged tactical voting for the SNP, but in the end the Conservatives were way down, 9 points down, so that was a much bigger drop than the Scottish average. The SNP took 43.7% of the vote this time, which was 2.8% higher than the 40.9% they managed in 2015. At number 4, it's Stephen Flynn in Aberdeen South. So a similar story here. This is a pro-European enclave in the northeast, but unlike Edinburgh North and Leith, this was a Tory-held constituency until this election, so it looks like there probably was quite a bit of tactical voting here to get the Tory out. The SNP took 44.7% of the vote this time, which was 3.1% higher than they managed at their high watermark in 2015. In at number 3, it's Kirsten Oswald in East Renfrewshire. So again, a very, very heavily pro-Remain constituency which had somehow ended up with a Conservative MP. So it looks like there was a big tactical voting drive for the SNP as the party that was best placed to beat the Conservatives. The SNP took 44.9% of the vote, which was 4.3% higher than the 40.6% they took in 2015. At number 2 is Joanna Cherry in Edinburgh South West. Like all the constituencies in Edinburgh, this is very much Remain territory, although it was held by the SNP before this election anyway, but the Conservatives were not far behind, so there would have been tactical voting to make sure the SNP held on. And there's probably also an element of a personal vote for Joanna Cherry, who became something of a folk hero for many pro-EU campaigners due to her role in the legal action against the UK government over the prorogation of Parliament. The SNP took 47.6% of the vote here, which was 4.6% higher than the 43% they managed in 2015. And at the top of the tree, at number 1, the best SNP performance in this election is Alan Smith in Stirling. So you'll probably be seeing the pattern now. This was a Conservative-held seat, but it was an overwhelmingly Remain voting constituency. And the SNP made a big statement by putting forward a very high-profile member of the European Parliament as their candidate. That helped them to a phenomenal 51.1% of the vote, which is 5.5% higher than the result in 2015. So those are the 6 best results. But before we finish, let's have a look at the other end of the scale. Kerkorian Cowdenbeath was, in a way, the worst result for the SNP, but of course at the same time it was also one of their most incredible victories of the night. The SNP vote was actually slightly down on 2017, and it was way down, 17 points down on 2015, which just goes to prove that a party that suspends its candidate, withdraws all support for him, that's bound to have a detrimental effect. But actually it's remarkable that the SNP vote didn't fall a lot more, and it's even more remarkable that the SNP vote was high enough to gain the seat from Labour, so in a way that was the most amazing victory of the night.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed my series of short videos about the 2019 general election, and if you have done, why not subscribe to my channel? Until next time, have a sensational day!